Hi, John here. A question I get asked a lot, although it's not usually couched in these sort of terms, is is there any hope? Is there any hope that my drinker is going to change? Usually it's put sort of, you know, will he, she ever stop drinking? Is there any way that we can motivate them to stop? And the answer is that there's always hope. There is always hope. There's so many people, and millions of people in this world, who have had chronic drink problems and have stopped. I'm one of them, and I have many friends that are as well. But if we look at the research shows us that many people change. They change for all sorts of reasons, but the statistics suggest that about 2/3 of people improve. A lot of research has actually found that, if we look at people after treatment, or even after spontaneous remission, like that is, without the aid of treatment, that we can break them into three categories. They tend to call it a rule of thirds. 1/3 is that still drinking, nothing has changed. The second third is they're still drinking, but they've much improved. That might be that their drinking is reduced, it's not as chaotic, it's not as severe, they're not drinking as much, or they're not drinking as often, or they're still drinking as much and as often, but they're not getting the same issues physically, psychologically, behaviourally, they're not getting into trouble. So, and the third lot is abstinent. Now, what they have found is that the longer somebody is abstinent, the more likely they are to remain abstinent. Seems fairly common sense, doesn't it? But there's a cut-off. When we were doing research, it was 3 months. You used to see this survival curve that, lots of people relapsed away at the beginning, then they sort of tailed off round about 3 months, and you started to see that people who are sober at 3 months pretty well were sober at 6 months. And, there might have been some dropped out, but the ones that were sober at 6 months were usually sober at a year, and so on. The magic number tended to be 2 years. If a person was 2 years sober, then the likelihood is that they would remain sober for the rest of their lives. That was, that's what the statistics tell us. But people change for all sorts of reasons. They change for things that are happening around about them, in their lives, whether that be that, their circumstances have changed. It may be that their health has changed. It may be that, they can no longer afford it, whether that be physically or whether it be financially. But there are many reasons why people change. Some people change because of an event. There are people who have an almost Damascus Road experience where all of a sudden, they just change overnight. But as I say, there are many reasons for changing. And we can't always predict what the reasons are, but what we do know is that you can help that. You as a family member can actually help that change happen. You can help that change happen if you don't really support the drinking, that you don't actually indulge in behaviours that actually make it more likely that that person is going to continue to drink. And that's what Bottled Up is full of. It's full of stuff that, right at the beginning of the programme, it tells you, these are things you should stop doing. And these are things that you should start doing. And they're all aimed at changing the drinker's behaviour. Well, they're aimed initially at changing your behaviour and making life that bit easier for you. But off the back of that, it's about changing the drinker's behaviour. And they've been pretty successful. A recent study, it was done by AdFarm, which is a large organisation, a large charity, which is set up to look at helping the families of drinkers, found that if you get some support if you get some counselling, then there's more likelihood of your drinker actually changing. So it's not always a direct sort of confrontation of your drinker. It's not always a direct treatment of your drinker. Sometimes it's the things that you do or stop doing that starts to make the drinker think, that make them change. But what we do know is that, yes, there is lots of hope. Lots of hope. And hang on to that. Hang on to the fact that millions have changed. It might not be happening today. It might be next week. It might be the week. Who knows? So just hang on, because most people will change. The statistics show that. Research has shown that. Most people will change. Hope that helps. Okay. Bye.